Okay, so those are your choices. You can side with the frat boys at UNC who actually tried to prevent the American flag from being brought down. You can side with people like my friend Ami Horowitz, who went to a protest at City University of New York with an American flag and got beat up for the privilege. You can side with the statue of George Washington or with the people who deface the statue of George Washington.
Ben Shapiro has obviously been under a whole lot of fire recently, and he released this video regarding the recent protests and all the madness that's happening around the country right now. This tweet here from Ben Shapiro says, on the one side, there are moral idiot protesters who love Hamas, deface statues of George Washington, and hate the American flag. On the other side, there are protesters who sing the Star-Spangled Banner and protect the flag from desecration. Joe Biden's having a tough time choosing. And obviously, Ben Shapiro is going to make it as obvious as possible to pick the side that he is defending. Now, I don't think anybody who is defacing statues of George Washington, stomping and taking down American flags, I'm obviously never on their side. And I'm going to get into, my thoughts on this here in a second. But let's check out what Ben Shapiro has to say about this whole protester situation that's going down throughout America right now. It's getting pretty wild. Let's see what Ben Shapiro has to say. I think you could probably guess, but it gets interesting. Trust me.
Black Lives Matter movement was founded originally around the death of Michael Brown, who tried to shoot a police officer before he was killed by a police officer. Because if you could declare your fealty to a false narrative about Michael Brown, suggesting that he died at the hands of American white supremacy, well, then you could sell those people anything. And the same thing is true with regard to the Palestinian cause. The Palestinians are a perfect example of a group of people who have elected terrorists, who are sympathetic to terrorists, who support terrorism, who hate Jews, who hate America, and who have made their own bed. They've been offered everything, and they've taken nothing. They've decided they're not going to take any deal. Over and over and over and over. Every dollar that has gone into Gaza has been used to build up a terror epicenter. And these people...
Ben Shapiro obviously has a deep, deep hatred for the people of Gaza. There's no doubt about it. When it comes to these protesters, I obviously I kind of have to agree with Ben Shapiro here, as much as it pains me to say. But, I think these people, I don't even think they're actually pro-Palestine or anti that other country in the Middle East or anything. I think these people are just anti-America, and they will use any cause that they can possibly use in order to push that agenda. And I'm going to get into a little bit later on, why I think this stuff is happening. But honestly, let's just get into it right now. So I think that there's people who are at the head of this thing, the higher ups, the elites of the world. You could probably guess what I'm talking about, that are weaponizing these groups of people who hate America. They're kind of hijacking these other movements and just using it to hate on America more, cause more division. That's exactly what's going on here. So they have one side who Ben Shapiro hates, I also don't like very much, who I don't even think are actually pro-Palestinian or anti that other country that Ben Shapiro loves so much. I think they're just anti-America, and they're trying to tear down American flags, tear down the American statues and everything like that. Every single chance that they can get, they're just using this and hijacking this movement as another means to do that. And then the other side of things, I don't even, they're not even on Ben Shapiro's side, really. Like, Ben Shapiro thinks that they're on his side, and I'm sure some of them are. There's some of them mixed in there that are on the side of Ben Shapiro and of that country that he loves so much over in the Middle East. But I think most people, who are on the other side, who are out there protesting, these frat boys, they're just they see nerds who are anti-America, and they're like, hey, get off our campus, go away. They're not super into geopolitics. They're not super passionate about hating, Palestine or Gaza, or super pro that country that Ben Shapiro loves so much. They're just kind of like, hey, shut up. You're annoying. Go away, and that's why I'm on their side. But for all we know, both of these sides could be funded and weaponized by those higher ups, by those elites, to drive even more instability, to drive even more hatred between the two sides, between sides like me and Ben Shapiro, and sides like, people who are actually pro-Palestine and stuff like that throughout the United States, not just anti-America and hijacking a movement to look like they're pro-Palestine. And people like that and Ben Shapiro. Anyway, let's get back to what Ben Shapiro had to say about the whole situation.
People declare solidarity because, again, if you can declare solidarity with people who are obviously not victims and declare that they are, in fact, the victims of Western imperialism, well, then you can declare it about virtually anything. That is why the keffiyeh and the Palestinian flag are a sub.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Institute for the American flag. That film that we saw from earlier this week over at City University of New York, where people took down the American flag and put up the Palestinian flag. There's a reason why Queers for Palestine is a thing, why you're seeing combined Palestinian And
Well, I think the reason, I don't really know what reason Ben Shapiro is referring to specifically. I think the reason is very obvious, that what I just stated. It's the fact that they're, not actually pro-Palestine. They're anti-America. Like they're just hijacking a movement and using their movement, or using the pro-Palestine movement to continue furthering their agenda. And that begs the question of who is telling them to be anti-America. Who is pushing? Obviously, nobody's in their ear like, yes, you must be anti-America. But there's an obvious like brainwashing happening on social media. And who is leading that charge? Is it some foreign person? Like, is it some foreign country like China or Russia or someone? Or is it somebody who's an elite of the United States trying to drive more instability? Let me know in the comments what you think.
Pride progress flags, despite the fact that these are mutually exclusive in practice. That's side A. And you can pick side A, but I can tell you those people don't love America. And then there is side B, and that is the protesters at the University of Mississippi, the frat boys who showed up to sing the Star-Spangled Banner at all of these people who hate the United States. Here is a clip of that.
Ben Shapiro just doesn't understand frat culture. They just see nerds and they say whatever it is that they have to say, or sing in this case, to piss off said nerds. Like, look at these people. They're gigantic. They're just seeing nerds and they're just trying to piss off the nerds. They're not super pro your side, Ben. Like, they're just not, and whatever. Back to Ben. And it really represents the America First movement, because they're like barricaded in between all of these, pro-America protesters and stuff like that, where they're like, stop all this happening in this other country. Ben Shapiro's over here like, no, continue this happening in these other countries. Continue this war. We want more war. We want more bloodshed. And these guys are just like holding up American flags, singing the Star-Spangled Banner. That's like me. I'm just like, why the hell are we worried about stopping stuff that's happening in other countries, or continuing these things that are happening to other countries? We need to worry about what's happening in America. That's what we need to be worried about. And it just kind of represents that perfectly, even though some of them have been holding up, Israel flags and stuff like that. Most of them are just holding up American flags and doing stuff like this, which I think is pretty cool.
Okay, so those are your choices. You can side with the frat boys at UNC, who actually tried to prevent the American flag from being brought down.
Yeah, I choose to side with the frat boys, but I choose to not side with Ben Shapiro. And I don't know why Ben Shapiro is now trying to hijack these frat boys movement, like the anti-American protesters are trying to hijack the Palestinian movement and make it his own, because it's not. Like, because I side with the frat boys, that doesn't mean I side with Ben Shapiro at all.
You can side with people like my friend Ami Horowitz, who went to a protest at City University of New York with an American flag and got beat up for the privilege. You can side with the statue of George Washington or with the people who deface the statue of George Washington. But you do, in fact, have to pick a side. And if you pick the side that hates America, you should be held accountable politically and otherwise for it. It turns out that you should, in fact, love this country. It is.
Oh, should you? Should you love this country? To Ben Shapiro, loving this country means making sure that you never question anything that the government or mainstream media ever tells you, because he obviously got very, very angry at Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan for saying that we should maybe question some narratives that are given to us by the mainstream media and by the government. So you should never question that. And you should also have unwavering support for a country that has nothing to do with us, even when it means the deaths of thousands, possibly millions of innocents. That's what loving your country should be. And if you don't do that, you should be held accountable, according to Ben Shapiro.
Is an amazing country. It is the greatest country in the history of mankind. And if you don't,
other than that other one that you love a little bit more,
then there should, in fact, be some public opprobrium for you. Doesn't mean you don't have a right to say these things. You do have the absolute right to say whatever dumbass thing you want to say. It's the United States of America. That does not mean that people have to look at you as though you are anything but a moral idiot. And these people are moral idiots. So let's talk a little bit about the coalition of moral idiots. Who is behind them? what exactly they are calling for.
Anyway, let me know what you guys are thinking about Ben Shapiro and his thoughts on these whole protests that are happening. It's obviously a wild situation, but it kind of embodies the America First movement pretty well. You know, the fact that the Palestinian protesters are barricaded in and all the frat boys are surrounding them singing the Star Spangled Banner and waving American flags. It sums up the, like, it's like, shut up. We don't care. We're worried about America. Like, just shut up. We don't care. Stay over there with all your nonsense. We're worried about America. Ben Shapiro is trying to hijack that and act like it's his. It's not. You're not even close to America First. So I don't know why he's acting like he is. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking about Ben Shapiro's thoughts on that whole situation that's going down. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and hope to see you guys on the next one.